I'm looking at the phone, I'm recording, and I see a message pop up at the top. And it says, oh, what does it mean if Chris Brown 1111 Deluxe is nominated for a Grammy? I yelled to my wife, and her makeup artist was there too. I was like, yo, like, come. And I was like, I'm Grammy nominated. And they all like came downstairs screaming and started hugging me and stuff. So that was crazy. I low-key, I don't want to say I expected it, but I had hoped that this year would be the year where I end up getting at least a Grammy nomination.
Yogi the Producer has hit a major milestone with his first Grammy nomination, credited for his work on Chris Brown's Runaway, featuring Bryson Tiller. The song is part of Brown's Grammy-nominated deluxe album 1111 in the Best R&B Album category. But success doesn't happen overnight. At 35, Yogi, a proud Saint Lucian, has been honing his craft for years, eventually collaborating with some of the biggest names in music. When the 2025 Grammy nominations were announced, Yogi was right here in Saint Lucia. It gave us the perfect chance to sit down with him and uncover the story behind his success. From his roots in Anse La Raye to his first taste of music thanks to his mother, a popular musician and composer in her own right, Petronila de Tourville.
Every Sunday, I would have to be in church, in the choir, either singing. At first it was singing, and then eventually I started to play the piano. But I also grew up in a musical family, so that was always around me. Music was always around me because of my mom. You know, when you're growing older, you don't really have a choice. As a kid, you don't have a choice. If your mom says, hey, listen, I'm putting you in piano classes, then that's what you're doing. And she always wanted me to be a performing musician, you know, playing on Saint Lucia Jazz or performing at hotels or whatever it is. But I quickly realized that it wasn't really my thing because I'm an introvert. I'm very to myself. I don't like being around too many people at once. So that kind of started to shift. But yeah, I was definitely running away from the whole performance thing.
Despite his reluctance to remain a performer, he continued to play music. Like many Saint Lucians, his journey included attending school on the island. For Yogi, it was the Entry Post-Secondary School, and later Sir Arthur Lewis Community College.
Funny enough, nobody really knows this. I went to DTEMS for mechanical engineering for a year because my mom was first of all, there's no music program, so she just didn't want me to not be in school. So I did mechanical engineering for one semester, and then after that, my mom was like, okay, you know what, let's start to figure out where I could get you in a music school somewhere. So that's how I ended up in Jamaica, basically.
With encouragement from his mother, Yogi auditioned for Roger Williams, director at Jamaica's Edna Manley School of Visual and Performing Arts, and within a week, he was off to Jamaica. Sadly, his time there was cut short due to the untimely passing of his mother.
I was in Jamaica for about a year, I think. It was about a year. And then when my mom passed, obviously I came back to Saint Lucia for a funeral. Then I went back to Jamaica. So within my first 2 semesters, and obviously with something like that, it's I couldn't really get back, you know, the focus I needed. And it was just a decision I made to yo, you know what, I don't think I could do this. So I came back home to Saint Lucia, and then I got a job with Axela Marketing. And that's kind of how I would say the next phase of my life, you know, started. I was at Axela for about 3 years, and then I think it was my brother who was already in Canada. He lived in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I asked him yo, are there any audio engineering schools out there? I initially wanted to go to Florida, to Full Sail University. And he was like, yeah, actually there's one not too far from me. So I signed up, I applied, and it was maybe about a 2-week process of sending documents back and forth. And eventually I got accepted. And, you know, within, I guess, the month of getting accepted, I kind of got everything together and then got a ticket and I was out.
His time in Halifax would further build on his foundation as he forged important connections.
It wasn't a crazy adjustment because my brother was there, so that made it way easier for me to at least have family there. And another person I met when I actually moved there was KO. And that's kind of how we started working a lot more together because he lived on the next street down from me. And I would say that was probably the start of our like working relationship, because after that, you know, we worked together for a while, and touring and all that kind of thing. And also like being in the school too, I was able to like meet a lot of other creatives. But I would say, yeah, me and Keo's relationship really started there, and we did, you know, so many great things after that from Halifax.
Like many success stories, Yogi's journey took leaps of faith and courage. After finishing school, he spent 6 months working at a computer shop in Halifax. But during his hour-and-a-half commute home, he realized it was time for a change. It was time to leave Halifax. He set his sights on Toronto.
And this is why I believe that things always just line up as they should. That same week, someone had hit me up to work on a bunch of music with them for like a book or something that they were working on. And we did that, and the money I got paid from that was enough to buy my flight, pay my first and last month's rent in Toronto, and maybe have some food for about a week.
Yogi continued to build important connections, often bartering his skills for studio time. Eventually, the owner of a studio offered him an opportunity. In exchange for studio time, he would work as an engineer with Canadian artist Savannah Rae. It turned out to be a perfect match. Together, they went on to win 6 Juno Awards, and they're now married. This collaboration also brought Yogi to the attention of renowned producer Boy Wonder, forging a partnership that would take his career to new heights.
We built a great relationship around music. Like, yo, I think you're very dope. She thought I was talented as an engineer. She didn't know I produced then. So at that point, I'm just working with her as an engineer. And we just built a great relationship, and we'd always record, write stuff. And one day she walked in and I was working on some beats. And she's like, who made this? I'm like, me. She's like, wait, so this whole time you're a producer too? She was like, nah, like we gotta work on stuff. And it kind of encouraged me to not be shy about my work too, you know? So started to play her stuff, and, you know, we recorded stuff, and that's where like our working relationship started there. But eventually it became the relationship that actually started connecting me with the whole of Toronto, basically. Because Savannah herself is like super well known in Toronto. She's connected with all the musicians out there, the producers, etc., and building relationships with them. So because of her, I was able to meet people like, you know, Jordan Manswell, who I also work closely with, obviously Boy Wonder.
Eventually, Boy Wonder signed Savannah to his new imprint after partnering with Universal Music Canada. As Savannah's producer, Yogi's connection with Boy Wonder grew stronger, eventually leading to opportunities that would bear new fruit in Yogi's career.
Because of Sav signing to him as an artist, eventually he messaged me one day, and verbatim, he was like, yo, how do you feel about being part of the X-Men? And he put like a little GIF with Professor Xavier. And I was like, hell yeah. You know, he was like, yo, would you be interested in a publishing deal? I was like, absolutely, I would love that.
Since then, Yogi's repertoire has grown to include artists like Camila Cabello, Kehlani, James Blake, Keo, Giveon, Drake, Nicki Minaj, and Jessie Reyez.
I feel like I never get used to it. I remember I did it was a Kehlani session, and he called me. I was chilling at home, and then he calls me. He goes, yo, you know, what are you doing today? I'm like, none, I'm just chilling. He's like, do you want to come and like record Kehlani? I was like, yeah, sure. Obviously, I'm on the phone with him. I can't be like, oh my God, like Kehlani, like, yeah. So the boy in me was screaming, but I was just like, yeah, of course, I can pull up.
And now, Yogi has his first Grammy nomination. He admits that when he found out, the excitement was overwhelming.
So I was literally right here. I had a tripod set up because I was trying to be on my social media content thing, right? And I completely forgot Grammys were being announced that day because I forgot about it. Funny, I was just obsessing with it the day before, and then the day of, I was like doing something else. And then one of my cousins messaged, like, I'm looking at the phone, I'm recording, and I see a message pop up at the top. And it says, oh, what does it mean if Chris Brown 1111 Deluxe is nominated for a Grammy? And I scream out, you're gonna have to mute this, but I scream out, I'm Grammy nominated. I think I have it on video too. I'm like, I'm Grammy nominated. And I yelled to my wife, and her makeup artist was there too. I was like, yo, like, come. And I was like, I'm Grammy nominated. And they all like came downstairs screaming and started hugging me and stuff. So that was crazy. I low-key, I don't want to say I expected it, but I had hoped that this year would be the year where I end up getting at least a Grammy nomination, you know.
Yogi remains excited about the future. He also plans to create pathways for up-and-coming producers in Saint Lucia to build successful music careers.
I mean, now that the Grammy nomination is here, and hopefully we could read or look into the future and say we're going to take the Grammy home. But now that the Grammy nomination is here, I want to make sure I use this to, like, Saint Lucia has always been my focus, and it's always been, you know, on my heart. I want to continue to figure out ways to, like, bridge the gap between North America and Canada specifically, because that's where I reside, to figure out how to help any producer or create infrastructure rather, so anyone like me who might not know about all the different ways you could work in the music industry or is interested in music production or engineering could have a proper opportunity, like call it a discovery center if you want, for, like, you know, engineering and music production. Some kind of setup that's like, if you have a slight interest but you don't know where to start, this is where you could go, and, you know, it could help you on the path to get there.